Welcome, everyone. This is the House Committee on Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs. It is Thursday, February 12th, 2 p.m. here in Conference Room 325. My name is David Tarnas. I chair this committee. Vice Chair Poi is here, as well as our members Shimizu and Cochran. Other members are watching from their offices and will join us presently. Thank you everyone for being here today to provide testimony. I appreciate your willingness to participate in our legislative process. We all do better when we hear testimony from people to help us understand the impacts of the legislation we're considering. I would request that those testifying would try to limit their testimony to 2 minutes per person, just so I can try to get through all the testimony in time, then go into decision making. We've recently upgraded the microphone and sound system in our room here. You'll notice there's these 2 green lights up here. Those are the microphones. I would just encourage you to speak clearly and loudly. You can use your outside voice, articulate. The system will pick up that and broadcast it and also amplify it slightly in the room. Just a hint, it will also pick up all your side conversations. And so I would urge you to refrain from having side conversations so that it doesn't interfere with our proceedings and it doesn't embarrass you. For those on Zoom, please keep yourself muted and your video off while waiting to testify and after your testimony is complete. And use the Zoom chat function if you need to chat with technical staff on any technical issues. If you're disconnected unexpectedly, please rejoin us when you can, and I'll try to fit you into the hearing so you can finish your testimony. If the power goes off in the room here and we have to reschedule, we'll make sure to post appropriate notice so you'll know when we're meeting and what we'll be discussing. If you're on Zoom, please avoid using any trademarked or copyrighted images. That kicks us off of our streaming service we use, which is YouTube. And that's a problem because we want the public to watch what we're doing here so they can be engaged in this process. And for all testifiers, please refrain from any profanity or uncivil behavior. It's okay to disagree, but let's just not be disagreeable. That's okay. We're all here to work together as best we can for the benefit of our people and the state, our environment, everybody here. Okay, first up we have measures that we're considering today. And first on the agenda is House Bill 2046 relating to the Olelo Hawaii Commission. This measure establishes and appropriates funds for the Olelo Hawaii Commission to coordinate and promote initiatives that support the use of Olelo Hawaii. First up, we have the Attorney General. Welcome.
Chair Tarnas and members of the committee, Alyssa Koji for the Department of the Attorney General. We'd just like to note that the commission, the bill establishes a temporary commission, but doesn't have an end date for the commission, so we just suggest adding an end date, that's all. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Sure, thank you very much. Next, we have Bonnie Irwin from the University of Hawaii in support. Next, we have Lena Alalei, Office of Hawaiian Affairs in support. Welcome. Please come on up and introduce yourself. Let us know why you think it's a good bill.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Mahalo for hearing this bill. OHA strongly supports the formation of the commission. We supported a resolution at the County Council in the County of Honolulu last year to support a similar formation of a commission. I will note OHA does already have many programs and activities to support the perpetuation of Olelo Hawaii, but we see the value of a commission that would bring together key government stakeholders, the University of Hawaii, and other important parties that are dedicated to the same mission to work together and to provide information about maybe where more funding could best be directed to assist with our various programs to support Olelo Hawaii.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next, we have Heather McVeigh, Hawaii Civil Rights Commission on Zoom. Please proceed.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chair and Vice Chair. Heather McVeigh with the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission. I use she, her pronouns. And we like the bill. One point of correction is that this is a staff recommendation as it had not been, we did not have authority yet from the commissioners to support the measure. However, we do find that language rights are civil rights And we feel that this would help to provide support and consistency, especially also with state agencies that are working to renormalize Olelo Hawaii and could use the support of some consistency. So I'll be here for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McVeigh. Next, we have testimony and support from Shelby Billionaire on Zoom. Please proceed. Mr. Billionaire, are you there? Please proceed.
Aloha guys, sorry, I'm on an iPad now. So aloha guys, I support this. We'll make it real simple. Aloha, Chair Tarnas, Rep. Shimizu, everybody. So I support most of the bills. I know we got to speed through a lot of these things. So I support the bill under Ohana Uni Party and Kingdom Wildlands. Aloha. Chihu, yeah, you.
Thank you. We've received a total of 7 testimonies, 8 testimonies, 7 in support, 1 with comments. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in House Bill 2046, here in the room or on Zoom? No? Questions, members?
Question.
Yep, Representative Shimizu.
For Oha, please. Thank you for being here, thank you for your testimony, thank you for all that Oha does. I'm hearing that this bill, forming this commission would be a positive because that's not happening now without this commission. I just wanted to share an example of what I experienced where there was a situation where Olelo teachers were hard to get, so the class was gonna be canceled. How would this commission affect a situation like that, or prevent it, or support it?
Yeah, I can't say the commission would be able to, there's many, I think there's other bills that are more directly addressing that, but I do think there would be value in having the University of Hawaii and other entities who are responsible for helping to create that pipeline of educators, because we do have a teacher shortage. With that in mind, if there's specific groups or entities, I could see the value of also not having the membership closed for the commission, but allowing, I see the Department of Education on here, University of Hawaii, but there could be other slots potentially left open in the commission where we could bring in different groups from the Department of Education. Office of Hawaiian Education is more specifically focused on charter schools and immersion. So we could definitely have spaces in the commission for other voices, and then we could also as a commission take testimony from those groups. So I think it would help with the coordination that you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure it would help, thank you. Sorry, you need to go ahead. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Certainly, thank you very much. A question for Office of Hawaiian Affairs, if I may, since the university's not here to ask. I'm sensitive to having discussed some of these things with other members and with the public. I'm sensitive that the Native Hawaiian speakers of the Ni'ihau dialect are distinct. And I'm wondering, it might be a good idea to have someone with that expertise on this commission. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it's similar to my answer to the last question. It does have subsection 3.6 does allow for other subject matter stakeholders as recommended.
So you could.
But I think it's also, I would agree either with putting it into the statute or just leaving it to the discretion of the other commission members to address some of the issues everyone's raising as far as diversity of who's being represented.
Okay, yeah, I'm just sensitive that when we speak about Olelo Hawaii, that those who are native speakers of the Ni'ihau dialect really emphasize their distinct differences.
Mahalo.
Yeah, thank you very much. Other questions, members? Seeing none, thank you very much to the testifiers. Let's move on to the next measure. House Bill 2438 relating to the Hawaii Cultural Trust. This measure establishes the Hawaii Cultural Trust within the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. It establishes an income tax credit for contributions made to the Hawaii Cultural Trust and qualified Hawaii cultural organizations under certain conditions. It also establishes a special number plate for motor vehicles to support the Hawaii Cultural Trust, and it would apply to taxable years beginning after December 31st, 2025. First up, we have testimony from the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism with comments. Next, we have Department of Tax.
sorry.
Oh, yes, please. Please come on up to the podium and introduce yourself.
Yes, aloha, Chair
Aloha.
Thomas and Vice Chair Poi Poi and members of the committee. I'm Rick Benayan on behalf of Director Tokioka for the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism. The DBED stands by its testimony and comments on House Bill 2438 HD1. Thank you.
If you could, usually I don't let people just stand on their comments or stand on their testimony. Could you highlight the major points that you want members and the public to know that are in your testimony?
Okay, sure. I think what we'd like to do is work with the committee and others where to effectively implement the responsibilities of establishing this cultural trust within DBED, we will need the adequate resources. And at the minimum, I think a staff person, full-time staff person, one physical management staff person, and administrative support. So those are some of the highlights that we noted in our comments.
Okay, and I appreciate your testimony and that you're here. So if we have questions, I'll
Yes,
be able to ask them of you. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony from the Department of Taxation. Welcome, the floor is yours.
Afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Clinton Piper, Department of Taxation. We'll largely be standing on our written comments just to highlight a little bit about the department's role. We generally will not weigh in on the merits of a bill as far as why it should or should not go. We will focus more on the administration and enforcement of the bill. To that effect, we have two recommendations to amend the bill. The first would be recommending altering the the effective date, so that section 3 will apply to taxable years beginning after December 31st of 2026. The reason for this is to give us time to do instruction changes for new forms, system updates, and provide notice to taxpayers. Our second request is that section 3 be amended to include a provision that the credit will be claimed within 1 year of when it is earned. This is to ensure that we don't have credits hanging loose out there. It's not within my testimony, but it is common when we are asked what is going to be the financial impact of this bill. I don't have those numbers yet, so I can't represent that to this committee. I did check before coming over. We do have an analyst assigned, and we do anticipate that we will have numbers when it gets to the money committees. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That is something that we are all asked to do as chairs. If we're moving a bill to Finance Committee, we will be asked what the fiscal impact will be. So if you could share that information with us whenever you get it, then we can, and share it with Finance Committee if the committee moves it on, so that we would be fully aware.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have, next person that said they wanted to testify was Lena Alalay, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Welcome.
Mahalo again. OHA supports this bill. We support the intent of providing funding for culture, arts, and perpetuation of Native Hawaiian heritage and other cultures in Hawaii. I did want to flag that we had a concern with the language on page 10, lines 1 through 6, because it's asking that OHA maintain a list of qualified organizations for purposes of administering the tax credit. But the way that OHA's grant program currently works is we put out a request for proposals, and then entities that have the capacity to fill it will submit applications. So we are concerned that having to pre-identify organizations is gonna limit who can be eligible to apply. So we would recommend deleting that language, and we also are independently governed with respect to grant proposals by HRS section 10-17. So we believe that our current process whereby we can post that a grant is available for these purposes and then let entities or individuals who can satisfy that grant apply without trying to restrict it in advance. That could just unfairly disqualify people unnecessarily. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Mr. Billionaire on Zoom, please proceed.
Hello, guys. Pikachu Shelby, Billionaire, represent Ohana Unity Party, King of the Wine Line. So I agree with what Oha said and the tax man. How I understand it, when I read the bill, I support the bill 100%. But how I would qualify if the IRS is involved, you got to be an NHO, the Native Hawaiian, qualified organization under the Department of Interior, and that's how it'd be easier to track. How you guys finagle the language, that's up to you. But if you're gonna get the tax credit, obviously it's gonna be income. And how you guys streamline it, it should be financially transparent. And that's all I have to say. But I do approve this bill, and you can make some amendments. Call the attorneys to go put the fine language in there. But heck yeah, chihu, yeah you, aloha.
Thank you. Next, Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation of Hawaii on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair Tarnas, members of the committee, Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation. We don't object to additional support of Hawaiian culture and the organizations that help keep it alive. We are concerned about the funding mechanism. The proposed trust fund doesn't meet the statutory criteria for being a trust fund. If the idea is to support these organizations, it's better and more transparent to appropriate the money, give them grants. That way you know how much you're giving. With the tax credit, you don't. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've received a total of 13 testimonies, 9 in support, 4 with comments. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2438 in the room or online? If not, questions, members? Seeing none, thanks very much to the testifiers. Let's move on to the next measure. House Bill 2584 relating to the Public Land Trust. This measure temporarily increases the total amount of public land trust revenues transferred to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs while reaffirming the state's obligation to the 20% pro rata share pursuant to the Hawaii State Constitution. And it repeals June 30th, 2028. First up, we have the Attorney General.
Good afternoon, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Poi Poi, members of the committee. The Attorney General recommends amending Section 2 of the bill to delete the requirement that OHA receive a minimum of the amount necessary to satisfy the 20% pro rata share required under the state constitution. The Constitution itself, the Admission Act, they don't expressly say that OHA is entitled to 20%, and without more specific standards, it would be impossible to determine what dollar amount would equal a 20% pro rata share. That's the same problem that the Hawaii Supreme Court wrestled with in the Yamasaki case. And in that case, the Supreme Court held that it was up to the legislature to decide how the 20% should be allocated. So a blanket requirement like that would be unworkable. For example, is it 20% of gross revenue, net revenue? Would it be 20% of public housing authority rent, 20% of faculty housing rent if the faculty housing is unceded land? Are there restrictions on the particular income stream? For example, the Hawaii Supreme Court has already held that federal law preempts OHA from receiving 20% of certain airport lease revenue, even though the airport sits on ceded land. Another example could be an income stream that is already committed to paying off bonds. And this isn't an exhaustive list by any means, but I think these are some of the examples of the questions that need to be answered. And right now, the legislature has already established the working group, which is, hasn't finished its review yet. And it seems like, that process should be allowed to play out. So that's all I have. I'm available to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Next, Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members
Aloha.
of the committee. There's a number of OHA trustees here, so I'm gonna cede my time and let them speak, and then if I can answer technical
Sure, who should I ask to come up?
questions afterwards. We do have a number though, it's in our testimony, it's 80 million, and we can talk more
Understood.
about that number.
Understood. Trustee Lindsay, welcome. Please, floor is yours.
Mahalo. Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and honorable members of the committee. My name is Carmen Hulu Lindsay, trustee for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify before you today. I stand in strong and unequivocal support of House Bill 2584 to ensure the fair and lawful allocation of revenues from the Public Land Trust as clearly established in state law and affirmed by our state constitution. The law provides that OHA is to receive 20% of all public land trust revenues. Yet currently, OHA receives approximately 5% or 21.5 million, far below what is mandated. This disparity is not merely a funding issue, it is a matter of legal compliance, fiduciary responsibility, and justice. The full and proper allocation of these revenues will enable OHA to expand and strengthen programs that directly serve Native Hawaiian communities, addressing housing, education, health, and economic stability. By honoring this obligation, the state will not only uphold the law, but also reduce long-term reliance on additional state funding by empowering OHA to fulfill its mission more effectively. House Bill 2584 is a necessary step toward restoring integrity to the management of the Public Land Trust and ensuring that commitments made to our people are honored in practice, not just in principle. For these reasons, I respectfully but urgently urge the committee to pass House Bill 2584. Mahalo for your time, your leadership, and your thoughtful consideration.
Mahalo. Get to hear from you, Trustee Galataria?
Yes.
Okay.
Chair.
Please proceed.
Boy, this place is familiar to me.
Glad to have you back, sir.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify in strong support of HB 2584. I would like the words of the previous speaker to be entered into the record as if they were my own. And then I could expound a little bit. On behalf of the board too, we do have other fellow trustees here to share in this moment. Our chair, Kai Kahele, our vice chair, Yoni Souza, along with representatives of Kale Akaka's team here in the house. Let me just continue the thought from Chair Emerita Hulu. This gap that we're looking at, closer to 80 million when including those of the state has historically contested. The gap is a matter of compliance, as Trustee Hulu said. When OHA is underfunded, Native Hawaiians are underserved in housing, education, health, cultural programs, and advocacy needed to address systematic inequities. But I also want to highlight two issues that have remained unresolved for decades, even during my time here at the Senate. Firstly, the state has never maintained a consistently recognized authoritative inventory of the public land trust lands themselves. That's very troubling. Secondly, there is still no uniform, transparent reporting system across all departments that collect or manage PLT revenues. When I was in the Senate, I asked at the time BNF Director, I think Wes Machida is circling around, he's in the Speaker's office from what I understand. I asked him to come in and explain to me clearly, was this an honor system? To which he replied, yes. That's all we needed to know. So there's the two inequities and inadequacies that are very, very, I think, reflects the accountability difficulty here. So HB 2584 is a necessary step towards correcting these long-standing inequities. does not create new benefits. It simply moves the state toward honoring existing laws and moves us towards trust, fairness, and fulfillment of constitutional and statutory obligations. I respectfully urge the committee to pass HB 2584. Thank you for your time.
Mahalo.
Aloha.
Chair Kahele? No. Trustee Souza? No?
Sure,
thank you. Sure. Trustee Akaka? Do you want to speak? You're all set. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the whole delegation from the trustees, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and we'll turn it back to Ms. Lay to wrap up the OHA testimony.
Sure, mahalo, Chair. I just wanted to make the point in response to the Attorney General's comments and some of the comments in the testimony from DLNR. There might be certain details around the edges of what is the exact 20% due, but we certainly have data and evidence that has been in the records in the PLT working group report that was due to the legislature last year, and it shows that uncontested historical amounts are between 35 million and 80 million. So we don't have to talk about what is this number that is so uncertain. There actually is certainty that OHA's 20% is much higher than 21.5 million, even if we don't have an exact number. I also wanted to point out that the state maintains the carry forward account, and that is money that agencies put into a trust account when they have, basically they've met their contribution to the cap the state has set. So right now the cap is 21.5 million. So the agencies, that's the maximum that they give. But there's a trust account that takes any overpayment that should have rightfully gone to OHA. And the amount of money currently in that account is $55 million. So if there are in fact fiscal concerns, that is a revenue source that exists, that is money that's indisputably owed to OHA because the agencies themselves have already identified it as so. So I just wanted to highlight that point. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you to all the testifiers from Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Next, we have the Department of Land and Natural Resources.
Hi, Department Samuel.
Please come on up and tell me who you are, introduce yourself,
Hi,
and
good afternoon.
provide the highlights of your testimony.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Lauren Yasaka. I'm the Acting Land Division Administrator currently. The department has opposition to this bill mainly because when there's an unspecified amount, regardless of OHA's testimony today. At the time when we were writing our testimony, we did not know what the ask was. Secondly, the impact to the Special Land Development Fund is unknown at this time without that specified amount. Currently, as you are aware, the administration turnover has been quite different, and we are expecting to do, I think, more management, hands-on management of our unencumbered lands and our encumbered lands. We recently, as you folks know, a lot of our leases are expiring and the department is inheriting the assets that come with it, the improvements like buildings and stuff, which are gonna take a new amount of revenue to help us manage, and in the interim while we get new tenants into those as well. So we're beginning to already budget for the next year, and we've already budgeted for the 26-27 fiscal year. So, you know, anything that would put those programs and those management things in jeopardy is what we would be opposed to at this time.
Thank you very much. Next person that said they wish to testify is Demont Kale Manaole with Ho'omana Pono. Welcome, sir.
Aloha.
Please proceed.
Demont Kalai Manaole.
Kalai.
Co-manager Ho'omana Pono LLC, a native Waianae Advocacy corporation operating on the Waianae coast. And I support this bill because it supports OHA. But I got a problem because I don't think this bill goes far enough. You know, the Attorney General's office like quibble about what amount and whatnot. You can read my testimony. It's pretty intense. The thing is that the state agreed before it became a state to take care of fiduciary duties of the Hawaiian Homes Commissions Act. They agreed to abide by the Missions Act of 1959. And I just find it funny that the legislature will have no problem handing Hawaii Tourism Authority $80 million, just like that. They don't even have to fight for it, right? this was a number of years ago, they now get problems. Or any other agency that's not even in the Constitution. A lot of your agencies not even in the Constitution, you guys have no problem giving them millions of dollars. When it comes to Native Hawaiians through OHA or JHA, we gotta come here and beg and plead with you guys to do it. So what I'm asking you in this bill, stop playing games. You know, it's an election year, I realize, it's election year, you like get our vote, so you're gonna create one bill, feel good for us, and then you're gonna sunset them in 2 years, and just in time for the next vote. We're tired of playing that game. We're asking you to come correct. Come correct in what you're supposed to owe. And to quibble about all, we don't know what the percentage is. You know that 20%. You look at the 5 purposes for Admissions Act, 5F. There's 5 purposes. You break each purpose down in 20%, you get 100%. So I think that's probably where the 20% might have come from. But that's not our problem, that you guys never figured that out. All we ask is that you guys do what you're supposed to do, and I'm gonna rest on this. You have no problem taking people who deadbeat dads who don't even pay their bill for child support. But then you guys don't like pay your bill for the child support that you owe to Native Hawaiians. Pay your bill. I think you should go farther than this and just grant us the full 20% that we should be entitled to. Aloha.
Mahalo. The next person that said they wish to testify is Mr. Billionaire.
Hee-hoo, yeah, it's me, baby. Pikachu Shelby Billionaire representing Kino Hawaiian Islands and Ohana Unity Party. I sent you guys my testimony, bro. Thank you for giving me 2 minutes. I was at their board meeting on Zoom after the Waianae Kapuna Council, so they heard everything I meant. So I got the numbers, just to let you all know. I asked the governor's representative to take all liability off of you. How much is the ceded land revenue? Because I'm Asian, I can do math. Whatever X is times 20%. Luckily, I have AI, and I did the math. Your 20% off of gross revenue, to answer that guy's question, is $394.3 million. 20% of that, I moved the decimal times 2, is 78.9 million. OHA is capped at 21.5. It's already in the testimony I sent you guys and OHA and all the trustees. That means your shortfall is 57.4 million. That's not including depreciation, appreciation, all the tax stuff that the tax man in a white shirt knows in the room right there. That's just on the base. So you're telling me in Hawaiian that you're screwing us over 60 million since OHA's made in 1978. DHHL 1920, Pikachu not even this universe till 1982. We short $60 million, bro. Where is the money, honey? I don't know, but you guys are short. And I did the math. They can, people lie to me all the time, but the AI doesn't lie. So something's wrong with the math. Where is the money, honey? Where's it going to go? And you should approve this bill. I read DLNR's testimony. How dare they? They're afraid. They didn't check the math. They didn't call Auntie Dong Chang. Check that, because Pikachu going to say something. And I'm saying something now. The money's right here. Rep. Shamiz is Asian too. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. So Chair Tarnas, please approve this bill. Let the finance people work the money out. Chihu, yeah, you. I support this bill. Aloha. Yeah,
Thank you. Next person said they wish to testify is Julian Ko on Zoom. Please proceed.
Hi, aloha nui kako. Each committee chair operates differently. So I did submit testimony in support of the bill. What I am asking for is that the state discharge its responsibility to our Kanaka people. Every year it seems as though there's this little game that's played about why OHA should not get more than it's entitled to. And I think it's time to put an end to that. This whole thing about on what is the 20% base. I just don't understand why the state is unable to come clean and really tell us clearly what the revenue from the public land trust is each year to be able to calculate the 20%. And the other thing that I find absolutely abhorrent is that the state engages in this thing about saying, the University of Hawaii spends money in Kanaka, so let's just take money out of the revenue entitled to OHA for that money. That's not anything that OHA has control over, the budget for the University of Hawaii. It's to me, it's just absolutely unbelievable how the state of Hawaii plays this game with our Kanaka people and denies us of what we are entitled to. I stand on my testimony and I will remain available to answer questions if there are any. Thank you.
Mahalo. Next person they said they wish to testify is Jermaine Myers. Welcome. Please come up to the podium. The floor is yours.
Aloha Chair Tarnas,
Aloha.
Vice Chair Poi Poi, and honorable members of the committee. My name is Jermaine Myers. I am a Native Hawaiian beneficiary and a Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead lessee. I'm here today in support of House Bill 2584 from a very practical place. When families in our communities lose federal support and face delays and shutdowns, they don't experience it as a budget issue. They experience it as instability. What OHA has provided during those moments is continuity, keeping programs operating, keeping services available, and keeping trust intact between government and community. House Bill 2584 recognizes that reality. It gives OHA the capacity to continue showing up for Native Hawaiian families while longer-term public land trust issues are still being worked through. The temporary nature of this bill matters. It reflects care, restraint, and accountability, not excess. As beneficiaries, we are not asking for more than what is fair. We are asking for steadiness, responsibility, and respect for the trust relationship. For that reason, I respectfully urge you to pass House Bill 2584, and I also stand on my written testimony. Keal Kuapu, God bless all of you.
Mahalo. Next, Angela Young on Zoom.
Aloha, Angela. Melody Young cares. I'm in strong favor of this legislation, and I'd like to propose an amendment. And I don't know much about this, but I am studying properties management. So I'm just going to offer an amendment because the legislation talks about a work group. So I think in the work group, if you amend it to include OHA, DLNR, DHHL, and the county's office, key office from the DPP, which manages the building permits for homesteads, it can then help with clarification of responsibilities and trust fiduciary responsibilities to assist with transfer of lands and the money owed to the Hawaiians. And I think perhaps this is just my opinion, is that there is a lot of confusion with the public land trust because we can see a very successful example of a well-managed land trust, which is the Kapiolani Park Trust. And so it's not included in the Hawaii Public Land Trust, but it is very successful because the county's offices manage it, and the city council members are the trustees and responsible for enforcing the trust's provisions, ensuring the land is used for park purposes in perpetuity, and with the Honolulu Zoo and the Waikiki Shell, they have a bunch of events, and it generates profit and economic development for the people of Hawaii to benefit the economic development of the Hawaiians. So you can see that from this example, the role and the responsibilities of the trustee and the beneficiaries are managed very responsibly. And so I think the confusion here can be cleared up if the work group starts to talk to each other a little bit more. And of course, I love the mo'olelo of the ancestors of Hawaii, from Kaneohe to Makaha, from Maui to Hilo, to build upon the reparation for the compensation for the Hawaiians. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Tara Rojas on Zoom.
Aloha, Tara Rojas, yes, I also approve, and what the other testifiers have mentioned as well, the fact that when it comes to Kanaka that's when all of a sudden you have an issue with monies. You know for how long that you're supposed to have been providing the 20%. And I know this because also the OHA have been going to neighborhood board committees, meetings, and mentioning how they're only getting, if at all, 2 to 4%. Knowing that you're supposed to be providing the 20%. So why is there hesitancy, as the other testifier said, when it comes to Kanaka? You actually should be going retroactive, and how Pikachu had given you the numbers. You have no problems spending money for things that are so heavy, and you said at the beginning of the meeting, and I wrote it down, Chair, you said, if you can be upset, you can be not agree, but please, be no profanity and do not be unnice for the benefit of us all. You should apply that comment, not only just about how you express your upsetness or your anger, but you should really apply that to the bills that you guys are passing or not passing. So for the benefit of the environment, do not approve negative ones. For the benefit of Kanaka, financially, finally talking about financially for Kanaka for this one, approve it. And also owe what you haven't been paying all these years. So there should be no hesitancy to provide your required minimum 20% to Kanaka. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. We've received a total of 55 pieces of testimony on this measure, 53 in support, 1 in opposition, 1 with comments. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2584 in the room or online? If not, questions, members? Vice Chair.
For OHA, maybe Lena Allah. You mentioned the OHA ceded lands account, and that's a special account where the public land trust funds specifically owed to OHA or is pending being paid to OHA is held. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, and I'm looking at the Act 61 annual report, and the way it's labeled is report, the subsection is report on administratively created accounts and funds. And the ceded lands transfers are in that subsection of the report. That's how it's listed here as OHA ceded lands. It actually says overpayment collections to OHA ceded lands. So meaning, again, the agencies identified it as part of the public land trust revenue, but because it was above the cap the legislature has sent, it went into this account.
So essentially we have a fund of money that can only be paid to OHA that we are just not giving you because of the act, but I don't really understand the reason why.
I think the way it's been interpreted is what the legislature sets as the annual amount is capped. Mm-hmm. So in 2022, that was actually raised. If you remember, from 15 to 25. So it was raised, but it's considered a cap.
But there's still a significant balance
exactly.
every year.
And that's what the account
is just collecting. And I wonder, I do believe that we are gonna get to a place, hopefully soon, where we do figure out what that 20% is. But in the meantime, perhaps we're creating a backlog of money that we will owe to OHA when we figure that out. I think it's gonna be a lot higher of a number than we think it's gonna be. Well, than, maybe is being projected, but I wonder if paying out more incrementally by what this bill kind of proposes to do, it'll help us in the end not owe us such a big lump sum, when we figure that out. Does that sound like kind of an accurate concept of a statement or not?
Well, I would encourage, rather than incrementally, that we think about more immediately because of the funding landscape that we're facing, federal cuts, the urgent need for OHA services, and also the fact that in 2022 there was also a new mechanism. So in the past, again, all the amounts that the agencies identified that were due OHA but were overpayment were put into account. But now there's actually a mechanism for the agencies to get the money back. So we actually think that urgent action is needed rather than incremental action.
I agree. I think maybe I just didn't state the question correctly, but thank you.
Thank you.
More questions?
Question, Chair.
Any more questions, Vice Chair?
I'm
Okay. Mr. Shimizu?
Sorry, question. So that, what you were just talking about, that I believe you mentioned 55 million, that's actual money that's sitting there.
Yes, it is in the Act 61 report filed for the legislature this year.
And, sorry for my ignorance, for lack of a better term. OHA is capped to receive 21.5 million. So even if we had more money by whatever statute or language, you guys are not able to receive it, and then it goes into this fund.
Correct.
So do you see any way in this bill of correcting that?
I think the issue is raising the cap. So this is an interim step towards addressing, making sure, like we were just talking about, that this money there does not go to waste or doesn't revert back to the state when the state has already identified it as belonging to OHA. So that's the immediate urgency. And then we do certainly want to get to a point that rather than having OHA's payment capped, it's being accurately reflected in the share of revenues that the state is bringing in, and that 20% funding stream that should be coming to OHA. So that's the work of the Public Land Trust Working Group. Is a little bit longer term, but in the meantime, we have this urgent need and available funds for that purpose.
So I totally agree. So I guess it goes back to my original statement. Is there a way of inserting language or crafting language in this bill that would accomplish that?
We do have the,
Representative, I think a way to amend it would be to increase the cap so that we can get the money that is in this account, which is an overage of the annual contributing from the different departments.
So the cap gotta be, besides increase, if it's not increased enough, you folks still cannot get access to all of the 55, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So it was just increased into 2022 when we moved from 15.1 million a year to 21.5. So I think it needs to be increased again, and depending on how the future goes with the resources, we can increase it then even more. But our ultimate goal is to get 20% of our gross income of those lands, and that would be around 80 million a year. We're far from it. We're only receiving 5% right now.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Representative Garcia?
Thank you, Chair. For OHA as well, just a question, maybe Ala. In that special fund that's just sitting there, the 55 million, can you confirm that OHA has no access to that special fund? No access. Okay, thank you for that. My next question is for the AG, please. The AG is here, yep. So I just want a legal interpretation here, because if the Constitution is quite clear that 20% of all public land trust revenue goes to OHA, is it your view that having a cap is constitutional or not constitutional?
So the Constitution and the Admission Act don't say 20%. It just says pro rata share. And so it's up to the legislature to determine what OHA receives.
So it's your view that the cap is constitutional then?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, back to you.
Thank you. For OHA again, just listening to the conversation with this fund and money that is in there that can only be paid to OHA but isn't, it seems to me like removing the cap and expensing the funds, it can only go to OHA, so is that something, because you talked about increasing the cap, but what about removing the cap?
Yes, that would be ideal, but that would be ideal to have a formula and to have that, that would be the annual amount would fluctuate with the payments coming in. There are certain technical limitations on that right now, but yes, absolutely, that would be the goal, to not have a cap. It needs to reflect 20% on an annual basis. We absolutely agree with that.
Makes sense to me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Certainly. Representative Kahaloa.
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask a question of the Attorney General? Mahalo for your testimony. As you can see, I think the intention is, as in OHA's testimony showcased, that there is extra funds sitting in the ceded land fund. And so the question is, understanding federal cuts and the obligations to the 20% of the public land trust revenue. I understand we don't have a full inventory, so it's hard to lean into a number. But the intention is, if there's money sitting in that fund, how can we, as we're looking at what is the true public land trust inventory, which we still need to process through with the working group. As we look through that, I think there's a need that OHA does deserve more funding. So should we be looking at changing language in the bill to reflect, instead of the 20% change of language as you recommended in a solid number, as we, and the reason the bill had a sunset was because we're waiting for the PLT to get to a true inventory. There really shouldn't be a sunset in funding to OHA, but we did that because we know we're trying to get to true numbers. Should we change this language instead to an increase in a cap versus the way the language is written currently?
Yeah, no, thank you for that question, Representative. I think that aligned with our testimony in that if you have a set number, we don't have any of these ambiguities anymore. And that's the standard that the legislature has set. If I may, I can clarify some of the issues regarding this account, this overage account, if I may. So when the legislature set the $15.1 million cap in 2006 in Act 178, it authorized the governor to establish administrative procedures on how to satisfy that $15.1 million payment. And the same thing happened when the legislature increased it in 2022. So there's an executive order that Governor Ige signed. It's EO 22-04 that lays out all of these administrative procedures on how the agencies, the agencies basically transfer their money to BNF. BNF then pays OHA every quarter, and there's an account called the Carry Forward Trust Holding Account that I think that's the one we're talking about. So it's not a special fund per se, it's an administrative account that BNF set up in order to ensure there's money to pay OHA the $25.1 million share.
Thank you.
Other questions, members?
Chair.
Representative Cochran?
Yeah, thank you. And for for AG's office, sir, sorry, before you walk off. Yeah, I'm trying to decipher your testimony concerns with section 2 of the bill. I'm feeling like you're trying to address that cap language and you're saying deleting these different items. Is that kind of what that's guiding towards, or can you explain a little more?
Yes, because the way the bill is written now, there's an unspecified cap amount. And then there's also a requirement to pay at least 20%. And so even if the legislature sets a cap, because you have that minimum 20% requirement, there's always going to be a question as to if the state meets the cap, maybe the state needs to pay more because there's this 20% language. And it's very difficult, if not impossible, to figure that out because of all of these lack of standards that I testified about earlier. And so our testimony is to basically delete the 20% and just keep a cap.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, members? No?
No, I just pointed out chairs.
Chair Lindsay, or Trustee Lindsay, it looks like you want to say something.
I did.
I'll ask you to come up and ask you a question if you would like to make any final comments before we move on to the next bill.
Thank you. I want to make a clarification on the 20% number. The previous speaker said that 20% is not defined anywhere, but it is. In the Hawaii State Constitution, Article 12, Section 6 mandates that a pro rata share of income from the public land trust comprising former Crown government lands be paid to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs for Native Hawaiians. This was later codified in Hawaii Revised Statutes 10-13.5 to define that share as 20% of all funds derived from the trust.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Any other questions, members?
Last question, Chair.
Will it?
Attorney General.
Seriously, last question.
Yes.
Okay.
Attorney General. You know, as this bill is written, it's stating that we're increasing the cap temporarily. So could that be interpreted to say that OHA can access the 55 million?
No, if the blank is filled in with the new cap, I don't believe that would affect the carry forward trust holding account. Because again, that account is just an administrative account that BNF uses to ensure OHA has paid the 25.1.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, members, for your questions. Thank you to the testifiers for your information. It's an important topic. We will take this up in decision making and see if we can move this forward. Let's move on to the next measure. This is House Bill 2433 relating to the Hawaiian language. This measure requires that the Hawaiian version of a law be held binding if the law in question was originally drafted in Hawaiian, or if the law was originally drafted in English, and if the law was subsequently amended, codified, recodified, or reenacted in Hawaiian and meets certain criteria. First up, we have the Attorney General.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Charles Jung-Min Lee, Deputy Attorney General. So this bill changes the rule for conflicts between English and Hawaiian statutory text by making the Hawaiian version controlling in certain cases. And our concern is that as drafted, it can create uncertainty about which version controls, especially when an English law later has a Hawaiian version and then gets amended again in English. So that's why I'm here, and I'll be available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the judiciary testimony. Thank you for being here. Floor is yours. Please proceed.
Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Poi Poi, and members of the committee. My name is Johanna Chok Tam, and I'm here on behalf of the judiciary. I serve as the director of the Olala Hawaii program of Abakia Code. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify on HB 2433, which asks a very important question. When the English and Hawaiian versions of the law say something different, which version should we follow? Well, under current law, HRS 113, if the two versions differ, the English version automatically controls. HB 2433 tries to fix that by removing the English preference. As written, the bill replaces it with a text origin model, tying the binding version to the language of the law which was originally drafted in, or later amended, or later recodified in. The judiciary appreciates the intent, but we do have some comments. A text origin model relies on information that is not always meaningful. For example, a law may be recodified or amended purely for technical reasons such as renumbering without changing its substance. But under this model, the technical change could still shift which language controls. This creates uncertainty for courts, agencies, and the public. Instead, we are recommending a neutral intent-based standard. Our proposed language reads, wherever there is a material difference between the English and Hawaiian versions of a law, priority shall be given to the language that best reflects the intent of the legislature, as evidenced by legislative history, context, and purpose. This is the same approach used by bilingual jurisdictions like Canada, where both languages are given equal authoritative treatment. Our goal here is to remove the automatic English preference and honor the co-official status of Olelo Hawaii and provide standard statutory review. Mahalo for the opportunity to share my knowledge.
Certainly, thanks very much. Next, Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Mahalo, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. OHA supports the intent of this bill to ensure that if a law is drafted in Olelo Hawaii, that the interpretation as intended in the original language is preserved. I understand the judiciary's technical concerns, so we would support the amendments to the extent that they ensure that there's not technical conflicts between the version of the law, but we do think that the essence of the measure to ensure that laws originally written in Olelo Hawaii have the Olelo Hawaii version binding would best meet the goal just mentioned to ensure that the intent of the legislature at the time is preserved, as well as the understanding of people who were involved in the legislative process at that time as well. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Next, Hawaii Civil Rights Commission.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Heather McVeigh, I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission, and I use she, her pronouns. The Hawaii Civil Rights Commission supports this measure and suggests the amendment as well as the the judiciary to indicate the law should not be sidestepped by having been amended unless the amendments are material. Language is a cornerstone of civil rights, and this bill advances civil rights for Native Hawaiians. And we also note that our state's motto and foundational values that have made Hawaii national leaders in civil rights are enshrined in Olelo Hawaii. So recognizing and honoring original Olelo Hawaii versions of laws under certain conditions will go beyond symbolic recognition and make a real commitment to Olelo Hawaii renormalization. I'll be here for questions if you have any. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next person, Mr. Billionaire on Zoom. Mr. Billionaire, are you present? If not, members, I urge you to take a look at his testimony in support.
This bill,
go ahead.
Mai kako aloha. So I support this bill. I got internet issues. Support bill 100% for Olelo Hawaii.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House
It's
Bill?
all absorbed in HS 1-1. So I support this. Thank you very much for the language.
Sure.
Aloha.
Yeah, aloha. Thank you. We received 7 testimonies on this measure, 6 in support, 1 with comments. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2433 here in the room or online? If not, questions, members? Vice Chair?
Really quick clarifying question for judiciary. In your spoken testimony, you suggested an amendment that says wherever there is a material difference. Is that correct? And in the written testimony, it says whenever there is a difference.
I see that.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, it should be material, but we did submit as written. So in the second round, if we come to it, we'll make that change.
Okay, so that material word is completed. Okay, thank you.
Other questions, members? If not, thank you to all the testifiers. Let's move on to the next measure. House Bill 1982 relating to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. This measure appropriates funds to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands for certain geothermal resource exploration and development activities and the hiring of consultants. First up, we have Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Oriana Leal of BGL. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this measure that was approved by the Hawaiian Homes Commission. Our testimony outlines 5 different islands with different prospective sites. At this time, the department is interested in pursuing preliminary, investigative, and exploratory work We also recognize the need for environmental review and beneficiary informational meetings that will be initiated in April and May of this calendar year. I'm available for questions. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Next person that wishes to testify is Demont Manaole. In support, not present. Next we have Terry Napiahi on Zoom. Please proceed.
Aloha mai. Mahalo nui to our commissioner, our committee members here for Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs. My name is Terry Napiahi, representing Truth for the People and Kilkaha Action Network. In the early 80s, geochemist scientist Donald Thomas did thermal subsurface exploratory drilling statewide. But his studies pointed to Puna, where the best geothermal resources were. They planned on 25 geothermal plants, hoping to produce at least 20 megawatts each for each plant. They were planning on producing at least 500 megawatts and also using an undersea cable to go from our Moku to Oahu. This project failed, and the public monies that were received, $80 million, were lost. We're asking that you not fund taxpayers' dollars again to do the same thing that Donald Thomas had done in the past. In 2014, Donald Thomas and protege Nicole Lautz from HGGRC began their endeavor to drill water and geothermal resources at Waikiki, Pohakuloa, and State Park. They also, at the same time, received the funds. Well, they proposed to do 22 exploratory sites on Hualalai. We filed a lawsuit, 9 plaintiffs. We had standing and waited for Judge Ibarra to do the ruling. UH pulled out. It would be a waste of money, of taxpayers' dollars, to support this all over again. And I implore you to look at the testimonies that are being submitted and also look at the probability maps. Probability means maybe. You're going to spend a lot of money on a maybe and if. You're far away from the source, which is in Puna, and you're going to lose a lot of money again. I implore you to look at the history. We have 50 years worth of it, and I implore you not to fund this bill. Mahalo nui.
Thank you very much, Ms. Napiahi. Next, Mr. Billionaire on Zoom. Please proceed.
Aloha guys. So Pikachu shall be representing Oahu Pare, King Islands, da 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 da. So I did support this bill, but after sister's testimony, I'm supporting this bill for a unique reason. I've been there on Big Island from Mauna Kea. When you talk to the OGs, the aunties, uncle, they're gonna tell you what sis was just saying. I didn't believe them at first. What they tell you with the geothermal, which is why I'm supporting this, because I want DHHL to do the study, and what you're going to find is how do diamonds and precious metals are made? Through compression through the volcano. So you got people, there's holes, caves going inside, like the cenotes in Mexico, and then you're going to find precious metals, gems, everything. So when you're digging for stuff, the drill, what you're using, melts because you're trying to get magma from Tupele, and they don't agree at extorting magma from lava to trying to convert it. Then you're talking about steam. You're going to melt stuff. You know, you can use 0 point energy with the alien tech, which is much more usable, in my opinion. It's not going to be on that thing, but if you encourage study, because they're going to talk about New Zealand Aotearoa, that's going to cost multi-million-dollars, all the infrastructure alone, lava rock, moving thing, labor, it's going to be very expensive. But if you do the study, that's where all the diamonds, gold, silver, sapphire, amethyst, emeralds, all comes out of Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, Kilauea. 100%. Now, they told me that the money is already sent out. 50% to state of Hawaii, 30% to the county. Mayor Mitch Roth knows about this. It might be going to OHA or some other nonprofit. I don't know the triple math, but since you guys are legislators, you guys can figure it out. Because there's something dirty behind the scenes, which is why I said I'd support the bill, because I want you guys to investigate, because it's going to cost a lot more money, like Sis was saying earlier. So aloha.
Thank you. Next, James J. Maioho. In person, not present. Next, whose person said they wish to testify is Anuhea Lee. In opposition on Zoom, not present. Next, Keola Maulo o Havailoa Mowat on Zoom. In opposition, not present. Tara Rojas on Zoom, please proceed.
Aloha, Tara Rojas. On Wednesday, HB 1983 was heard and was deferred. Why? Because of the testimony that was brought up regarding the actual health effects of geothermal for over 40 years, as Anake Terry Napiahi has mentioned in this and other bills and other meetings. It was deferred. And in her testimony, she mentioned how last session as well, HB 1307, which also did not pass, how the royal order of the still standing Hawaiian Kingdom also said no. As you read the 68 pages of testimonies, in which 41 in opposition, one I think might have been a misplaced testimony, and then number 3 in support, but taking now Pikachu's one was 1, so two in support, 42 in opposition, and of the 2 in support, 1 is the DHHL chair and 1 is the who's with like I guess the HGGRC. Anyhow, all in all to say is that the beneficiaries are saying no. The beneficiaries have not been consulted. Even the studies, the non-invasives, they haven't been consulted because it was not until Anake Terry found out a person poking in front of her mom's driveway that they found out. You need to stop the process now. You need to know about public trust, as you said it in the Wednesday one as well. It's in the bill for the benefit and the protection of the land and the people. Economic profit and probability, and as we just heard in this meeting, OHA is not even getting their 20% for how long. We know that it's just like a cash cow. It's just like a money coming in, and it's just for the people who are doing it, the companies, the cultural consultants that are going to be paid to study it, and then all of the DHHL but the DHHL and OHA, the money doesn't trickle down to the beneficiaries. We see there's beneficiaries still needing, their land. They need a home. So this geothermal should not be built at all on DHHL lands. The DHHL lands have a specific purpose, and you guys have a trust. You guys took an oath as well to uphold what is right for the environment and the people always come before profit. We all are on the same island, and as I said before, I said again, do not wait. Look at the studies. Look at what not being shown to you about the over 40 years of health effects and the over 40 years of no to geothermal. All islands are different, and the long-lasting effects will be forever. Once geothermal is in, it's forever. So if it gets and it reaches you, even if it's not in your backyard, and if the toxic air reaches you, it's gonna be too late. You're going to be on the side with us saying, no, stop it, shut it down, like what Puna community have been doing for over 40, 50 years. They haven't got the air testing done. It's being covered up, and they're just suffering. They're literally suffering.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So no to geothermal.
Summarize? Could you summarize your testimony? Oh, thank you.
Just no to geothermal. Please do not pass this.
Okay, thanks very much. I appreciate your testimony. So we've received 46 testimonies, 41 in opposition, 5 in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 1982? Oh, please. Please proceed.
Co-manager Hope Manapono LLC, a Native Hawaiian Advocacy Corporation operating on the Waianae Coast. And I support this bill wholeheartedly because in 2011, Neil Abercrombie I had got a bill passed that said that 100% of the revenues from geothermal are the royalties of the revenues that come from geothermal goes to Hawaiian homelands. And yet, we have nothing because nothing is being done. We need to support the department to be able to do geothermal, at least on Oahu. I know in Lulole, it would be a great spot. I live in Lulole, you know, and I don't have no problem with them doing geothermal here. And you know why I have no problem? Because I'm tired of HECO. I'm tired of HECO and I'm tired of all these oil companies and all these other people coming here and extorting us. I mean, look at what happened with Lahaina. Lahaina and Byrne, we informed them from the state legislature and asked for $700 million to bail them out. And at the very same time, they went to the PUC to raise our rates. So they got in our pockets twice. I'm tired of that monopoly that HECO has over us. I think that we should have our own energy creation on our own homelands so we can take care of our own people. And to be able to fund our people, finally have something that can fund the department on lasting mission so that we can fulfill the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act and get rid of the 30%, almost 30,000 on the wait list. And then the other thing I like to say is this, is that, you know, every time we come and our own people say, oh, the trust beneficiaries never say they don't like this. I'm a trust beneficiary. So they never ask me. And if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you I support it, right? So there's a lot of guys like me that are gonna support it. So one person does not speak for everybody. And everybody get their own opinion. But for me, I support it. Thank you. Aloha.
Mahalo, appreciate your testimony. Anyone else wishing to testify on HB 1982? If not, questions, members? Representative Garcia first.
Thank you, Chair. For Chair Watson, mahalo Kali for being here. One of the, I mean, this topic has been around for a while, and common arguments I hear against it is that the lack of consulting the beneficiary. So I'm just curious, what efforts has the department made in recent years to engage in this conversation across the state with beneficiaries?
Yeah, it's been very limited, without a doubt. So in the coming year, that is going to be our primary focus, to consult with the beneficiaries, but at the same time, identify viable sites. You know, we're looking at basically about 10 different sites across the islands, and so which are viable. I don't want to be wasting time or, you know, spending money like how some people are criticizing unnecessarily. We want to do this very preliminary analysis, even boreholes, which are less invasive, but do it in a way that we can identify. But at the same time, I think it is critical. This is one of the things I learned from the Maoris when I went to visit New Zealand, is you got to lead with your beneficiaries. If they don't want it, then you don't do it. But if you can educate them as to the benefits, whether it's 11,000 homesteaders that we have that spend about 32 million a year in electricity costs, where we can reduce it, and not only reduce it, but stabilize it and control it. You know what Demond said about controlling it? The department would like to control it. And not only put it on our lands, but get the revenues, but, you know, also address the 7,000, what do you call it, project lessees that we're gonna have to put the infrastructure in. How do we put that in? How do we pay for that? Part of it is through generation of money. And so, but it has to be done in a, you know, a very collaborative way with our beneficiaries that are supportive. If they don't support it, then that doesn't work. But also identifying sites where, you know, we're obviously not gonna put it in a heiau or historic sites or next to a large residential development. No, we're not gonna do it like that. We're gonna look at that where there's buffer zone. The technology today is totally different when they built it way back in the 60s at Puna. There's a very small footprint. You don't have these toxic settling pools anymore that are, you know, cause of a lot of health issues. Sure. And then you can do it in a way where it's a lot invasive, or it's a closed loop system. So there's a variety of things, but let me again stress, we have to talk with our beneficiaries, which we're going to be doing throughout the state in the coming year, but also educate them as to the value. But also, whatever we do, we're going to go through the 343, you know, requirement to make sure all the environmental issues are addressed. as well as follow the protocol regarding the cultural approaches.
Just a quick follow-up, Chair. If it does pass and you folks proceed with this, would all the energy production directly benefit homestead households and homesteaders, or would the energy be sold back to the state for the general public?
Well, you know, it's a combo. Obviously, wherever we locate a geothermal plant, my primary focus is going to be the beneficiaries in that area. Just like how the Maoris do it. Wherever they have like 3 plants that I looked at, and the tribes surrounding it were the ones that directly benefit. The majority of the profits went to them, went to reducing their costs, housing construction, and all kind of rents and various other things. And the other thing is, you know, it has to come from them. They have to be willing to accept not only the benefits, which I view as an asset and a benefit, but more importantly, support it and manage it, make decisions. They make the decision. They're going to be basically controlling this. And it's not going to be a DHHL or other thing. It's going to be the beneficiaries that will eat and benefit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Cochran.
And thank you, Director Watson, for being here. So I'm looking at the potential areas you're looking for on Maui itself. And in my district, which is basically the head of Maui, we have the Leali'is and Lahaina, the Waiehukos, and the Waikapus. So Kahikinois is totally on the other side of the island. To the query of Mr. Garcia, to benefit the existing beneficiaries. I have the largest population of beneficiaries in my district right now. I think, do you think that, you know, the amount of money, you're saying you want beneficiaries to guide this discussion and to move forward, but you're asking money now, appropriate, and then go back to the informed consent and asking the beneficiaries after the fact. When you already have this money, potentially this body's gonna give you, and you know what I mean? So you already have a predetermined
The
thought.
money that we asked for, the $5 million that is identified, that's for preliminary testing, to identify the viable sites.
Right.
That's it. We're not gonna build anything with that kind of money. You need about 150 million to do a 30 megawatt plant.
Right.
It's not cheap. 5 million is to do tests.
Yeah, and so, sorry, a follow-up, Chair.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, and that in itself, just any dollar amount that's already being expended by DHHL with these type of efforts without going, you know, thoroughly to the beneficiaries themselves to pre-ask, is this what you think is a proper fit for us utilizing your funds ahead of time? But you're already going to do the preliminary site testing, you have places picked, you know, so it feels like.
Nothing is picked.
So, I mean, I don't wanna sit here and debate and.
No, let's let Chair Watson answer your question and then we'll go on.
Yeah, there's nothing that's been picked. The beneficiary consultation that will happen over the next year, hopefully will be done as we also do the testing, very preliminary testing. And again, no site has been picked regarding or committed to a particular geothermal plant. We gotta do the beneficiary consultation, get their support. That's very important. But we also gotta, you know, if this particular site doesn't make sense to put it, so I'm not gonna say, well, we're gonna put it in 10 different sites without knowing which are viable. And that's just basic, you know, due diligence and seeing whether it's viable. These tests are, they have the boreholes, which are very non-invasive, and then you have your slim holes, which are a little bit more expensive, but a little bit more invasive. But we've done some preliminary studies. We have identified 10 different sites we want to more fully explore as to viability. And once we've done that, but at the same time, do the consultation. Like I said, that we're going to leave with our beneficiaries.
Sure, I have a follow-up though. So I know because I was energy once upon a time, and Olawala was a site on Maui. Are you aware of that? So this is not a potential site though for you folks
I'm not
at
sure.
this time?
We're
I'm
not
just reading
committed
your
to any
testimony is all. And that's all, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Vice Chair?
Thank you. Maybe to follow up on that point regarding the concurrence of the testing and the consultation. What I'm hearing is a desire from community members and beneficiaries, a desire to have the consultation prior to any even testing action. Do you feel that that might be a better avenue forward, because I think that when they're happening concurrently, there's a perception that a decision has already been made, whether or not it has been,
Understand. Sure.
or not. And so I wonder if doing that consultation piece prior, like I hear is planned, might be a better avenue, because you might encounter communities who, regardless of testing being done, are opposed enough that it won't make sense to test there, even if you would want to test there, because you would anticipate enough pushback that it might not make sense, and like to maybe reduce potential sites in that way based on consultation results.
Yeah, the consultation obviously will be very helpful. But I think it'd also be helpful that we do the education process regarding the benefits and impacts of geothermal. It's for the long term, especially for the environment in Hawaii, we want to continue to import fossil fuel that degrades our environment versus using our natural resources, the water, which, if we control, we can dictate where it's going to be built, as well as the size. Some of the sites we're looking at are going to be very small geothermal plants because, as I said, the first focus is how can we benefit our native Hawaiians, including the community that may be impacted.
Okay, a quick follow-up.
Sure.
I met with some JHA representatives early in January, and at that time, the Molokai sites were not on the brochure that I received, and maybe like a week and a half or 2 weeks later, there were Molokai sites. So can you maybe explain how that change happened?
Yeah, the Holehua and Naiva is a site that there is some geothermal activity that might possibly be a site. For me personally, I think if we could build a very appropriate scale geothermal plant on Molokai, right now the electricity costs, we spend about $40,000 a month MIS or Molokai irrigation system, and that's huge. And then the systems, the potable water systems we run are very expensive, and those are the water. That's the water that our beneficiaries are using for our ag development. So we got to integrate, and we're also looking at Molokai Ranch and trying to integrate with their water systems, and maybe move forward possibly on acquiring it, and then integrate the cattle industry like we're doing on the Big Island with Parker Ranch and some of our beneficiaries to a statewide initiative that we can not only take advantage of the cattle prices, but also activate our lands. We have significant lands throughout the state, but and a lot of pastoral lands that are being just vacated and are idle and not generating any opportunities for our beneficiaries. So again, even in the Maoris, they use their cattle and geothermal to pasteurize the milk. They have a lot of dairy products that's created. When they heat in the water, they can pasteurize the milk. So I can go on and on about the benefits and
I was just curious how the shift happened from not having Molokai on the list to having Molokai on the list.
It is on the list.
Yes.
To explore and take a look.
I think from that happening in testimony, there's a not bad amount of testimony from Molokai from being included on that list, primarily in opposition. But I would also suggest consulting with the Molokai Clean Energy Hui, which is a community group that is very heavily invested in community engagement in determining the clean energy solutions for our island. So I think that would be a good resource.
We've had some discussions with them.
Okay.
One of their, I believe, members actually
Yes.
traveled to New Zealand, came back very supportive actually.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Any other questions, members? Representative Shimizu, and then we do need to move on.
Question for DHHL, would it be to you?
Sure, I'm with DHHL.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you're the best person to answer, but thank you for your work on everything. My question is, after your 5 million test only, what's the department's vision going forward? If you do find something, if this is approved, you find something, what is the vision of the next steps?
Well, I'm assuming the 5 million, and that's actually not enough, but I guess if we do the boreholes, that might be enough. But the vision is to, again, do the collaboration with the beneficiaries, identify viable sites. And the next step is to figure out, is there support in our beneficiary base? What is the cost? How do we fund that? How do we approach it where we have all these other ancillary activities that will benefit from it? This is a long-term process. It's not like we're gonna start building geothermal plants next year. We're not gonna be doing that. It's a very long, drawn-out process. We wanna be careful. We wanna make sure the environment is not, degraded like happened in New Zealand, where they lost sources of water as well as.
Are you aware of any other department or any other entity in the state that's doing geothermal?
Yes, the University of Hawaii. We're working with those guys.
Okay, I guess my last thought is, I agree that DHHL needs more money for the beneficiaries, and you're thinking creatively. My thought is, we should have somebody else doing it on your land if you think it's there, and of course DHHL should benefit the majority of it, but I think you're kind of like going into something that may not be a good fit. That's my concern. So I'm wondering if you could somehow request other entities or support to manage what your vision is.
Yeah, we're working with the Mars. We had one of their main guys, Mana Newton, who is in charge of 3 of the geothermal plants, come and kind of gave us the approach regarding how they did it, the different funders, the different problems they ran into, as well as their interaction with the different tribes and the benefits and all the different businesses that benefit from it. And so, it's a collection of knowledge, including the technology. Like I was saying, the technology is really advanced. So we need to use the highest and best technology when we do these geothermal plants, assuming we're moving forward.
Okay.
Chair, just real quick, I just have a point of clarification. I'm reading Jade Alohilani Smith's testimony, and she strongly opposes, but yet it's colored in green as a support.
Okay.
So technically 42 opposition and 4 is support.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the question from the members. Thank you to the testifiers. Let's move on to the next measure. We have several more measures on our agenda today. Let's try to move forward. HB 2223, House Draft 1, relating to historic preservation reviews. This measure permits the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to conduct a review of the effect of a proposed project on lands under its jurisdiction on historical properties and burial sites subject to certain requirements, and it appropriates funds. First up, we have the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. Please introduce yourself and proceed. Thank you for your patience.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Reginald King on behalf of the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. We just wanted to highlight that we are in support, but highlight that the current requirement creates a bottleneck for a SHIP-D to review every project, but allowing DHHL to perform these reviews can speed up that process, but also keep in mind the cultural and the historic preservation goals.
Thank you very much. Next, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Chair Watson.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Kali Watson for the department. We stand on a recommendation or a testimony and also the recommendation that again, this even goes for geothermal, doing it right. We will continue to do it right. I mean, that's our culture. We need to preserve it, and especially in environment. So we will continue to do that. But this particular division in DLNR is backlog, and it's been a real impediment to moving forward on a lot of our projects. So we need to do it in-house. We'll continue to do it right, and we will do it in collaboration with CHIPI.
Thank you very much. Department of Land and Natural Resources. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
Sure, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I know our testimony came in a little late last night or yesterday afternoon. We had a little technical difficulty. I'm Jessica Puff, the Administrator of the State Historic Preservation Division. We will stand on our testimony as submitted with concerns about this bill. In particular, it has some elements in there like citing that the DHHL will hire historic preservation professionals, which aren't clarified as to who those individuals will be or what their qualifications are. It also includes language that suggests that this internal review eligibility for DHHL should be in its own section of 6E, and this is sort of an amended statement to our testimony. The rules governing HRS 68 outline the process for which a project proponent will consult with SHPD, and it includes all the review timelines and things that they need to be submitting for us. If any agency were to internalize the historic preservation review process, they would need their own rules. And under HRS 6E, SHPD has the ability to write rules for the 6E, anything under HRS 6E. So the question would be, would SHPD be responsible for writing rules so that DHHL can internalize their own historic preservation review process? Could those rules fall outside of Hawaii Administrative Rules, Chapter 13-275, which are the rules governing the 6E process? And those rules need to specify that if any agency were to internalize their own historic preservation review process, that they maintain positions including qualified archaeologist, a qualified historic architect or architectural historian, and a qualified cultural historian or burial site specialist for that process. And then lastly, I think one of the points that we made is that this effort is sort of contrary to the last 2 years of effort we put in with DHHL to develop what's called a memorandum of agreement, which is essentially does what DHHL is trying to do here in statute, but it does it through an MOA. And that MOA has guardrails on it. For example, that requires certain qualified professionals be employed by DHHL either directly or through a contract, and that they maintain those individuals, and if they are not able to, then they have to consult back with us. And then they also have to consult with us whenever there's an adverse effect to historic property, regardless of whether it's listed or being in the process of being listed. Which is similar to every other state agency, that they don't just take into account the effects on listed properties, but any historic property that is a state property, because that property belongs to the citizens of the state and not the agency itself. So the language in this bill treats historic properties under DHHL's ownership as if those properties were privately owned and follows 6042 definitions, as opposed to the responsibilities of state agencies to protect historic properties and state ownership for the people. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next, Mr. Billionaire on Zoom.
Hello guys, so Pikachu Shelby representing Ohana Party, Kino Island. So I heard what SHPD said. I approve this bill because I did think, you got my mini testimonial. It came in late. But you know what's happening when you call DLNR? I did this speech before because we found skulls and dead bones. So when you call DLNR for SHPD, when you find EV Kapuna, they don't bring shovels. They don't come out. They're understaffed. The cops come with the ATVs. They go over the skulls. We found it at the Kapuna Council last year. And Chris Moroka, our rep, talked about it in yesterday's testimony. And I was in Public Safety Meeting, Housing Committee. But they're not there. They don't have shovels. They don't got the scientists with the DNA, RNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. They're not there to testify the bones. And to be honest with you guys, even if you find dead bones, Pikachu's not going to touch it. I don't want to get cursed like Indiana Jones. I don't care how many jewels, silver, gold. I'm not going to touch no dead bodies. I'm not going to get cursed like Thinner. So however you guys work this out, I do recommend you support this bill, add amendments. But I know that HPD, last person, ain't going there out in the field, ain't going to Big Island, ain't going to Lahaina, ain't digging ditches, ain't looking for the ashes, ain't going for the bones. Because what happens in reality, you call cops, they call DLNR, they just circle off the area and they bury it back. That's it, and they move on. So that's the straight up honest from the streets. Aloha, love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Angela Young.
Aloha, Angela Young chairs, and testifying, wishing to comment. So It seems like DHHL is going to manage the responsibility, and I don't think they mentioned anything about asking for assistance. But it seems like there's also a need for individuals to review. So if I could provide a amendment, is to share the responsibilities. So the department may consult with county offices of DPP and the county's Oahu Historic Preservation, because development projects are reviewed by these offices for historic properties, and also these offices manage EV Kapuna. And so they can provide advice about this. And also, SHIFT is the office that has the archaeological review jobs. And so it's within the Department of Land and Natural Resources to handle compliance for projects that could affect historic properties. So I do anticipate that in the foreseeable future, that if there are going to be legal challenges from the Hawaiians, then to get the offices to work together is perhaps a good way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2223?
Yes, aloha. Imat Kalai Manole, co-manager of Manapono LLC, a native Hawaiian advocacy corporation operating on Waianae Coast. You know, this reminds me of my mom used to say this saying all the time when she put off by people interfering in our business. She would say, "Niele oko." And why I say that is because we should already be at one place where DHHL can exercise Section 101 of the Act. Section 101 of the Act was created by you guys in 1990, 36 years ago. You guys said that we have the right. The purpose of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act is to allow us to practice to be self-sustaining and to practice self-determination. But how is it that we can practice self-determination if we gotta come to you all the time, beg you guys to do what we should be allowed to do on our own homelands? And I think that the department should be able to control the historic preservation issues on our own homelands. Because I can tell you right now, I testified right in this room, in the last speed working group thing. The website not even up. You cannot even present any new projects with them. If you go on their website, they're gonna tell you can't present any new objects, new projects. So if you cannot even manage your own system, how you gonna come tell Department of Hawaiian Homelands, oh, you know what, you guys gotta stand by and wait until we fix our system. And by the way, we're not gonna let you do what you like do on your own homelands. Hey, if Section 101 of the Act is a real thing, then you guys should support this bill and allow Department of Hawaiian Homelands to take care of our own kuleana. And then for us as Kanaka, we know what we're gonna do on our own homelands. We know when we see EV what we're gonna do. What the guy was talking about, no shovels and all that. It's kind of nuts the way things is working. So I just saying, please support this bill because we have a right to practice self-determination on our own homelands. And if you guys meant what you meant when you made that Section 101, then support this bill. Aloha.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify, House Bill 2223? If not, questions, members. Representative Shimizu?
Shifty, please. You know, you mentioned the MOU.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yeah.
And then can you kind of explain that as briefly as you can?
Yeah. So a memorandum of agreement, we also have a programmatic agreement with DHHL for the Federal Historic Preservation Review process. Essentially what it does is it creates a binding contract between us and another agency about how they are going to follow, in this case, the 60 Historic Preservation Review process. And we pre-consult on a whole number of things, from certain project types to project locations to treatment types for like anything from landscaping to routine maintenance and repair to new construction, whatever it may be. we pre-consult to say, okay, these types of projects likely won't have an effect to historic properties if they're there. These types of projects will. Of all of these projects, these are the ones that we want to consult with you on, or in this scenario. So if you have a new project site, you're going to build a new entitlement community, and there's surveys been done that identify there's no historic properties there, then this agreement will outline that those locations can go forward with development without any further consultation with SHPD. They just report to us annually what they did under the programmatic agreement. Similarly, if through survey and previous documentation, it's identified that there are historic properties there, and a project type is such that it's going to adversely impact that historic property. Like in one community, there's some work going to be happening on a single family dwelling that has a historical significance for a person that DHHL can't avoid adversely affecting. So under our consultation with them, they're going to do some interpretive stuff so that history isn't lost. So this agreement lays out the parameters for all of that and creates guardrails for how, in a customized way, DHHL will coordinate with us.
And her testimony is helps to expand on some of this information too.
Yeah, and I'm happy to follow up with any more detailed questions.
So within the framework of that MOU, do you have like dedicated staff to address those concerns at DHHL, their projects?
Yeah, so that agreement specifies who DHHL either needs to have on board as their direct staff people, or it allows them to contract with a consultant who meets those professional qualifications to do the work. So if the work includes ground disturbance or requires an archaeologist, it has the professional qualifications for the archaeologist. If it involves altering a historic building, it has qualifications for a historic architect or something like that.
Last question, Chair. So you know, instead of giving DHHL money to do their own thing, if we were to give you that money and dedicate your staff for their projects, because you have the infrastructure, the organization, you're certified whatever, would that work? Where you address their concerns, because they're so frustrated that they're saying, we can't work with you guys, we gotta do our own thing.
Yeah, well, I think a third option to kind of split the difference would be if we were to keep these agreements in place, both the PA for the Section 106 National Historic Preservation Act review and the MOA for the DHHL 6C requirements, and then gave DHHL financial support so that they could hire their own dedicated professionals to administer their program under those agreements, I think we would be completely happy with that. SHPD would always be supportive of taking more positions to focus those positions on housing, but I know that in order for people to coordinate with us, they also need subject matter experts supporting them so that they know what to submit to us and how and all of that. So I don't really care who gets the positions, just as long as the submittal and the consultation and the evaluation is done, using the best professionals we can get.
Very good.
Does that work for you, DHHL?
Let's
Okay,
move
I'm
on.
sorry.
Yeah. Any other questions? Not. Thank you very much. This is definitely an important topic, but I need to move on to the next item on the agenda. House Bill 2308 relating to the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act 1920 as amended. This measure increases the limit of the state's liability for monies borrowed by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands or loans made to lessees that are guaranteed by the department from $100 million to $500 million. First up, we have the Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Good afternoon, Carly Watson, for DHHL. Our testimony is obviously supportive. I would point to the additional testimony that was submitted by Hawaii Community Lending by Jeff Gilbreth. That kind of laid out the scenario we're facing, or situation we're facing, which with the $600 million that you guys provided us through Act 279, we're looking to do maybe 7,000 new homesteads. We got about 3,000 in the hopper moving along under the phase 1. So just with that, if you times that by 350 using a conservative estimate, we'd need close to $1 billion in loans in order to do the vertical construction and allow our homesteaders to move forward with that. Right now, we have 100 million. We've already used up 70 million in our existing loan. So we need the help. We need the increase.
Thank you very much. Next, Demont, come on up. What, just make it real quick.
Yeah, Dimon Kalai Manole, stand on my support on this bill.
Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Billionaire.
Hello, guys. So I sit on my written testimony. Obviously, Kali said everything, but I want all of you guys on the Senate and Representative side to run the numbers. Make sure the math, because it should be financially transparent and open, and make sure it's honest. Because Pikachu doesn't trust people, but we can read the black and white. So thank you, Aloha. Please pass the bill.
Thank you very much. Next, and Ms. Young, Angela Young. Not present. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on HB 2308? If not, questions, members?
One question.
Representative Shimizu.
JHA, do you folks have any default or loss history on any of your loans that are back?
Yeah, we do have some delinquent loans. They're we call it rural development, the 502 loans. There's some delinquencies. We have some direct loans that we do in-house. There's delinquencies. We brought on some new people to address the delinquencies. One of the things we want to do is set the example that I hate to say this, but the department has been somewhat derelict in going after the delinquent borrowers. So we're trying to kind of increase our contested case hearings officers as well as set an example. If you've taken on and received the benefit of receiving a new house, you took out a loan, you have obligations, you got to pay them. And so we try to mitigate that, and we usually, the more common approach is to work on some kind of payment plan. But moving forward, we want to set not only a kind of more effective enforcement of the delinquencies. So we have to set the example up front, do the workshops, the training, teach a lot of them how to do it. But this one is more the ability to make more loans.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Any other questions? If not, let's move on to the next measure, HB 2309, relating to the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act 1920. This measure amends Section 208 and 209A of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act to include nieces and nephews who are at least 1/4 Native Hawaiian as qualifying relatives of lessees for the purposes of lease transfer and lease successorship. Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Everyone on TV land needs to see you, Chair Watson.
Good afternoon, Carla Watson with the Department of Hawaiian. We stand on our testimony.
In support. In support. Okay, thank you very much. Next, a written testimony in opposition from, we have testimony support from Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Do you want to provide any oral testimony? You can just, no one on TV land can see you.
Good afternoon again, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Mahalo. I'm going to stand on our written testimony and answer questions.
In support. In support. Okay. Next, Demont, Kalei, Manaole.
Dimon Kalai.
Kalai.
No problem. I stand on my support and one of the main reasons why I stand on my support on this, because I'm waiting for the day that we can actually fulfill Kuhil's dream of having 132nd be considered. And we can't even get there unless we get everybody off the wait list. And this will help to get people off the wait list now. So I support this bill. Aloha.
Thank you, Demont. Kalai, Manaole. I'll get it right. Mr. Billionaire, next.
Hello, guys. Pikachu Shelby Billionaire. So why I support this bill 100%. So as a real life example, I am not a current beneficiary under DHHL because according to their math, which doesn't make sense to me, I'm not 50%. My grandma's 100% who married Okinawan, and then my parents and their brothers and sisters are 50%. So according to Stacy Eli, the beneficiary advocates, blah, 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 blah. I'm not 50%. So I can't inherit anything until everybody dies. My mom, my dad, auntie, uncle, my grandma and grandpa already muck it. So currently, where I'm staying at the homestead land, that's under my auntie's name. But unless it goes under successorship like DHL knows, I can't inherit diddly squat. I don't get no equity, no cash flow, no nothing. It's a lease. This goes up against everything Donald Trump, Robert T. used to talk to me about real estate, which is why I want to support this bill, because the nieces and nephews are not going to get squat. And here's my example of why I challenge DHHL and the quantity. This is a bottle, right? Let's say it's 100% water for all of you guys. This is the DNA. Now, this is 100% water. If I take a drop of my blood, drop 1% of my blood in here, is it 99% water and 1% blood? No, you cannot break this up because you are 100% Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, Cherokee, chalked up because you coming from the ancestors. That's not how deoxyribonucleic acid works, according from high school where I graduated from. That's not how blood quantity works. You can't do it because they're
Thank you.
100% of their bloodline. So thank you very much. Pass the bill.
Thank you very much. Ms. Young?
She's here.
Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. In strong favor of this legislation to honor the nieces and the nephews of the families that are the beneficiaries, so that the waitlist can expand as much as possible to accommodate the Hawaiian families and to honor them. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to testify on HB 2309? If not, questions, members? Seeing none, thanks very much. We'll go on to the next measure, House Bill 2400, relating to economic development. This measure appropriates funds for the Department of Hawaiian Homeland's projects eligible for general fund revenues that are generated by increases in transient accommodations tax collections and intended to be expended equally across projects related to natural resources, climate resilience, and destination management. First up, we have the Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Again, good afternoon. Carly Watson from the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. We support the bill. We'll stand on our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Testimony in opposition from Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association. Not present. Mr. Billionaire, you have testimony for us?
Yes, we'll make it short and sweet. I know I was trying to get you out before 4, so I support this testimony for economic development. Thank you very much. Aloha.
Thank you very much. Ms. Young, you have testimony for us? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2400? If not, questions, members? If not, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next measure, House Bill 2250, making appropriations for claims against the state, its officers, or its employees. First up, we have Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Good afternoon, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Boy, members of the committee. My name is Melanie Martin on behalf of the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We stand in support of this measure. Thank you.
You just wanted to add one additional claim?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Keith Hayashi, Department of Education, in support. Next, Attorney General. Thank you for your patience. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Boy, and the members of the committee. Skylar Cruz, Deputy Attorney General. The department supports this bill. This is the bill that seeks appropriations to satisfy claims against the state, its officers, and employees. The bill contains 20 claims that total roughly $8 million. Attachment A to our testimony provides a summary of those claims. Since the bill was introduced, 7 new claims were resolved that total about $10.5 million. Those claims are described in Attachment B. Including the new claims, the appropriation request totals about $18.5 million allocated among 27 claims. We respectfully request passage of this bill to with amendments to add the new claims. I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Next, Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Stand on our testimony.
Thank you for your testimony and support. And then Mr. Billionaire, you have testimony for us?
Yes, I do. So I'll keep it short and sweet, minute or less. I oppose this bill because they should be liable for everything. Now, I understand why they're writing a bill to limit the state's liability. However, with the recent release of the Epstein files and AG Pam Bondi, who had a terrible disposition, we saw it yesterday with Congress, and Chair Tarnas, I'm trying to pass bills to combat human trafficking, drug smuggling. I'm scheduling with, Rep. Hoy Hoy as well to get HB 43 to combat that stuff. Unfortunately, we're not getting a lot of traction from the back. So somebody is liable. How Mike Minsky dies in prison, federally protected by the airport. How Jeff Epstein magically dies in his prison, not by suicide, because we got Michael Franzese, who was in that cell with the mafia, saying no. So I oppose this bill, but you guys should make some amendments because they should be fully liable. Imagine if I was in charge
Thank
of
you.
corrections facilities and something messed up. So I
Thank-
oppose.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? If not, questions, members?
Question.
Yes, Representative Shimizu.
AG, please. AG, do we have any record keeping data analysis that kind of pinpoints maybe improvements or things we can improve on to reduce future liabilities?
I believe what you're asking for, Representative, is encapsulated in HRS 37-77.5. That statute does require the Attorney General to provide advice to the departments who have submitted claims and recommendations on how to avoid future claims.
So that's being done.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Representative.
And is that information available to us?
It is provided to certain members of the legislature at the start of each legislative session.
Could I get a copy of that?
I'll have to check the statute as to who is entitled to a copy. I believe the statute provides, it's not all members of the legislature, it is a confidential document. I can look into that.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to ask questions? If not, thank you very much to the testifiers. Let's go on to the next measure, House Bill 2254, relating to court-ordered payments. This measure requires the judiciary to contract with a collection agency or licensed attorney to collect delinquent court-ordered fees, fines, sanctions, and court costs. It allows courts to specify a period of time or installments for payment of fines, fees, and restitution, and requires the defendant to show cause if the defendant defaults on the payments. First up, we have the Attorney General. Mr. Tom, welcome. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Deputy Attorney General Mark Tom for the department. The department provides strong support for House Bill 2254. This bill is to address a recent Supreme Court case in State v. Fay, which essentially limited the ability to facilitate payments of restitution owed to victims of crime. This bill, among other things, will require the judiciary to contract with a collection agency regarding fines and fees in cases. And this is already done similarly in traffic type related fines and fees. And it will create a statutory authority to have the court set proof of compliance hearings in cases where restitution was ordered. Again, this bill is very important as it will assist victims of crime to recover court-ordered restitution by reestablishing a clear-cut procedure. Thank you. I'll be here for questions.
Thank you very much. Members, I refer you to the judiciary's comments that they sent in writing. So we have their written testimony, unless there's a judiciary representative here. If not, next move on to Office of Public Defender, Ms. Cheng.
And good morning, Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Haley Chang, First Deputy of the Office of the Public Defender. We have submitted testimony in opposition to this measure, and as you heard from the Attorney General, this is clearly an attempt to circumvent the ruling by the Hawaii Supreme Court in State v. Fay. As we outlined in our testimony, we have some language from the case that I think is important for the committee to review and understand, but I do want to just highlight a few key points from our testimony. Number one, our opposition is not a reflection of a disagreement or a lack of understanding about restitution. We understand that restitution is a very important part of the criminal system. However, what is being proposed by this measure runs contradictory to the ruling and the policy of State v. Fay. As to the Office of the Public Defender, the majority of our clients are often unable to pay restitution. It is not a matter of unwillingness. I believe the AG's testimony referred to the defendants as uncooperative or unapologetic, and that may be true for some cases, but for the Office of the Public Defender, who represents the majority of criminal defendants in the state, our clients are by their nature indigent. Most of them are poverty level and oftentimes unable to pay. I also want to highlight in the bill that there is an inclusion of the time, on page 2 of the measure. It references 706-664, which is the contumacious non-payment statute, and it inserts the language in district court, which would mean that the contumacious non-payment method is now only going to apply to district court. So it could not apply to circuit court or family court, and I'm not sure if that's what the intent of the bill was, but I think that's a significant change that the committee may want to look at. Finally, I would just ask this committee to consider the impact of what this measure is proposing. To have endless proof of compliance hearings for numerous clients who can't even pay $10, $20, $30 a month. I think this committee, of all the committees in the House, know that we have clients who sit in jail unable to post $20 bail, $50 bail. They can't buy their freedom, so by extension, they're not able to pay restitution. And again, that doesn't mean the victims aren't owed it, it's just the reality. So by setting these never-ending proof of compliance dates for each hearing, you would have to have a court officer investigate and prepare a report to the court. You would have to have a hearing, which means it's a judge and court staff. You would have to have a prosecutor or a prosecuting agency, which would either be the prosecuting office, the attorney general's, and probably our office, the public defenders, because these are the clients who are in this position, as well as all of the court staff and labor that it would take. When you think about statewide, the implication for that, in all of the district courts, in all of the circuits across the state, that is very significant. There is a freestanding order mechanism in place that is already exercised by the criminal courts that does allow the victims to go back to court and seek payment outside of the criminal system, and we'd ask that it remain that way. Thank you for the opportunity to comment, and I will be available for questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cheng. Finally, Mr. Billionaire, you have testimony for us?
Yes, I do. I oppose this bill, and whatever she said, I 100% that with everything that's going through. And you already felt, what's going down. So I just oppose this bill. Let's speed up through because we got through. So thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2254? If not, questions, members? Seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 2256, relating to tobacco enforcement. This measure updates tobacco enforcement laws to confirm the authority of the Department of Taxation and Department of the Attorney General to inspect and seize tobacco products, including electronic smoking devices and e-liquids, and clarify that untaxed tobacco products are subject to forfeiture as contraband without regard to the procedures set forth in Chapter 712A HRS in the same manner as untaxed cigarettes. First up, we have the Attorney General on Zoom. Oh, in person. Lucky us. Thanks for your patience. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Chelsea Okamoto. I'm the Deputy Attorney General and Unit Supervisor for the Tobacco Enforcement Unit. Thank you for hearing this bill and for the opportunity to testify. You have our written testimony and support. The department is in strong support of this measure. On January 1st, 2024, a new excise tax went into effect on e-cigarettes and e-liquids, and that was pursuant to Act 62. So we're asking that there's updates made to the statutes, specifically Chapter 245 and Chapter 712A, to strengthen and expand our enforcement authority for not just our department, but also the Department of Taxation. So that way we can ensure that these newly taxed tobacco products are covered. So we ask this committee to pass this measure. We're available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony from the Department of Education. Not present. Next, we have Department of Taxation. It's your turn now. Thanks for your patience.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Clinton Piper, Department of Taxation. As I stated in earlier testimony, my office is generally concerned with enforcement. Can we do this and can we enforce it? This, of course, is a can we enforce it bill. I'll just incorporate the statements of the Attorney General. They are taking lead on this issue.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, Department of Health.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Jill Thomas-Shiro of the Department of Health. We stand on our written testimony in support of HB 2256 to clarify the authority of the AG to enforce regulations on the sale of e-cigarettes. We just want to highlight that vaping and nicotine addiction remains a problem in our state, especially amongst youth and young adults. And regulations are a critical component of tobacco prevention. Our department supports the AG's efforts to clarify and strengthen them.
Thank you very much for your good work. Next, Hawaii Public Health Institute, in support. Welcome. Please proceed.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Nate Hicks with Coalition for Tobacco-Free Hawaii and Hawaii Public Health Institute in support of this measure. Tobacco usage is the leading cause of preventable death in Hawaii and nationwide, and we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure that people are protected from the harms of tobacco. We feel very lucky that the Attorney General's office is taking this harm seriously and making sure that they have the enforcement issues, and that's why we support this bill, to make sure that they can do their job and protect us. Mahalo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hicks. Next, Mr. Billionaire, you have testimony for us?
Yes, I do. I oppose this bill because it's like an ATF, like Tulsa King, if you used to watch a TV series. How are they going to tax and control all of this stuff? It's like California, meaning, for example, I vape right here. I am not afraid of what I do. However, in California, they have no flavor stuff. So this is a market. If you want to tax like the taxman in the white shirts, yeah, tax it properly. But don't try to enforce this because how are you going to stop the people marketing this stuff with different products all over the Waianae store, Maili store? We're talking about Big Island, Kauai. It's a huge hustle. And how are you going to enforce this? Like they're saying, because to me, it's not tobacco is your issue. Human trafficking, drug smuggling with fentanyl is way bigger issues than what we're talking about. Tobacco is money.
Thank you.
But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2256? Ms. Young, you're going to present germane testimony.
Yes, Angela Melody Young cares. I'm in strong favor of the legislation. So I'm a chair of the Exhibits and Displays for Hawaii Children and Youth, which was founded 32 years ago by Senator Susie Chan Oakland and Representative Uncle Dennis Arakaki. And this topic is very prevalent amongst youth and teens that I help to manage. So I am in support, just give me some background. And so the law strengthens the enforcement of tobacco tax laws by explicitly empowering the AG and the Department of Taxation to inspect and seize and forfeit untaxed tobacco products. And this helps to protect the teens and the minors that I work with. And so it streamlines the seizure process by treating these items as contraband, similar to illegal cigarettes, removing complex forfeiture procedures, and it has enhanced authority mechanisms, and it can help with streamlining the enforcement, allowing for rapid seizure of illegal products by treating them as contraband. And so this helps to improve the lives of teens and youths across the state of Hawaii for this modern generation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2256? If not, questions, members? Questions, we'll go on to the last measure on our agenda, House Bill 2289, relating to the expenditure ceiling on the Automated Victim Information and Notification System Special Fund. This removes the $600,000 annual expenditure ceiling on that particular fund to address rising program costs and growing victim service demands. First up, I see Director Johnson. You come up first, or your designee.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Sana Munoz. I'm with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We stand on our written testimony in strong support of this bill. Removing the cap will allow our Victim Notification Services Office to be able to meet the rising costs of the contract to operate the system and provide necessary mandated victim services and notification for those in the state of Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Next, Corey Renke, Hawaii Paroling Authority, in support. Next, Pamela Ferguson Bray, Crime Victim Compensation Commission, in support. Next, Mr. Billionaire.
Hello, guys. So even though I put oppose, when I ran through the bill again, because I was focused on the limit, like they just said correctional facilities. If we can remove the limit because they need it, I agree. So I want to change my testimony to support the bill because they can do the same thing. Because in my Hawaiian mentality, I'm thinking about the PLU, the Public Land Use Commission. If they're going to do it for this bill, they should do the same thing for the Land Use Commission. Remove the cap, remove the limit. Aloha.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? If not, questions, members?
Sure.
Representative Shimizu first and then over to you.
Question for Director Johnson. Do you have a projected annual new ceiling for Savin?
It was originally established at 300,000. We increased it to 600,000, and now costs more than 600,000. This fund has about $1.5 million now, and every year the cost will go up incrementally to operate the system. So there's no every year it's going up between 15 and 20,000 based on the apparatus contract, increased lease costs, increased utility costs.
So it's not gonna be much more than 600,000, but it's gonna be over 600,000.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you. Sure.
Same
Thank you.
question, no, I have same question.
Oh, same question.
Yeah, thank you.
Two are on the same wavelength. Very
Yes.
good. Any other questions, members? Seeing none, thank you very much, Director. Thank you to all the testifiers on this measure. Should I wait for Okay, we're gonna just go ahead into decision making. Other members may arrive, but we have quorum, so I'd like to move forward with our decision making on this. First measure, House Bill 2046. On this measure, I would recommend we move this forward with a House Draft 1, defect the effective date to July 1, 3000. Blank, let's see, we want to keep a blank appropriation in there right now. We need technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. I would like to remove paragraph 2 on page 2, lines 4 to 6, referencing legislators. We're not supposed to have legislators on commissions, so I want to remove that. I want to add after page 2 on line 14 to the list of members on the commission to include a native speaker of the Ni'ihau dialect. To make this commission temporary, I'd like to recommend this act to be repealed on December 2nd, 2030. So that coincides with the end of the next governor's term. As I mentioned, defect the date to July 1, 3000, and technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. Those are my recommendations. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on HB 2046 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Falati is excused. Representative Cochran.
Aye.
Representative Hashem.
Aye.
Representative Kahaloa is excused. Representative Sayama.
Aye.
Representative Takayama.
Aye.
Representative Garcia.
Aye.
Representative Schmidt.
Aye.
Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next measure, House Bill 2438, House Draft 1. I recommend we move out an amended version, so it'll be a House Draft 2. I would like to, on page 2, line 12 to page 4, line 8, the term, quote, qualified Hawaii cultural organization, end quote. We want to move that to section 235 instead, because it's not used under the new part. On page 4, line 13, the Hawaii Cultural Trust should be established within the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism rather than the State Treasury. I would like to make it clear in the bill to assign responsibility for administering the trust account to the trust itself, establishing the advisory committee within the trust, and requiring the coordinator of the trust to submit the annual report to the legislature. On page 5, line 19, I want to make it clear that that the coordinator would be permanently exempt from Chapter 76. So amendments are needed to Section 76-16B. And this measure as well, we will also remove reference to members of the legislature being included. Technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. I would like to include the amendments from the Department of Taxation in their testimony and include in the standing committee report the request from Department of Business, Economic Development, Tourism for 2 full-time equivalents plus positions plus administrative support. And I would ask Finance in the standing committee report to address the concerns of Office of Hawaiian Affairs regarding the determination of eligibility of qualified organizations for use of funds of this trust. I think that would be appropriate for Finance to deal with. Those are my recommendations. Questions or concerns, members?
Chair,
Yes.
anything from Mr. Yamachika taken into consideration here with you at all?
No, I think,
Okay.
I think his recommendations are very relevant for Finance Committee to be able to deal with in terms of how trusts operate and such. I think that's more the kuleana of the Finance Committee. So I think if Mr. Yamachika, if this does move forward and Mr. Yamachika would present testimony to Finance, it would be more appropriate to address it there.
Okay, thanks for that.
Rep. Shimizu?
Just to clarify, you said regarding OHA's concern about the qualified list that you would send that to Finn.
Yeah, I'm asking, because this is regarding determining eligibility of qualified organizations for use of funds from the trust, again, I think this is policies regarding the trust itself and use of those funds, I think is appropriate for Finance to deal with.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2438 HD1 with amendments, Representatives Belatti and Kahaloa are excused. Are there any voting no? Any with reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. On House Bill 2584, on this measure, I would like to recommend that we move this forward with a House draft, so we pass it out with amendments. I would like to make technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style, defect the effective date to July 1, 3000. I want to leave a blank appropriation amount and I would like to, in the standing committee report, say that I would request that the Finance Committee take into consideration the findings in the report of the Public Land Trust Working Group regarding the amount of annual payments that should be made to Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and that they would take urgent action to choose an amount to temporarily increase the annual payment to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to pay for the required 20% of Public Land Trust revenues. I think it's appropriate for the Finance Committee to actually choose the amount. It's up to the legislature to make this determination at this point. While I still would like the Public Land Trust Working Group to finish their work, I think in the meantime, I would like the legislature to take action and increase the amount that we're paying. But I will leave that to Finance Committee to make that determination, taking into consideration the findings in the report from the Public Land Trust Working Group. And technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style as well. Those are my recommendations. Questions or concerns, members?
Chair, could I offer a thought that we talked about removing the cap or increasing the cap. Could we consider initial cap raised to 76.5 million, which is the 21.5 million minimum and the 55 million that's sitting there for the first year, and then subsequently adjusted accordingly?
You know, and I appreciate your suggestion. These are specific issues that Finance Committee, as our Money Committee, really needs to make.
Sure.
In terms of the cap, in terms of the annual amount. I just wanna make it clear from this committee's standpoint, as the Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs Committee, this committee, if we move this out, is giving a clear indication that we believe that we need to increase the annual payment to some amount. I want the Finance Committee to make that decision as to what that amount is. And I'm referencing the report from the Public Land Trust Working Group, which does lay out that it's clear that the amount that currently being paid is not enough, and they present a range.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
So I would like Finance Committee to address those issues. Other questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2584 with amendments, Representatives Belatti and Kahaloa are excused. Are there any voting no? Any reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. The next measure, House Bill 2433. On this measure, I would like to move this out with a House Draft 1, so with amendments. I'd like to make technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. Defect the effective date to July 1, 3000. And I would like to incorporate the judiciary's testimony, but adding the word material so that it would read, whenever there is a material difference between the English and Hawaiian versions of a law that is material to its interpretation, priority shall be given to the language that aligns with the intent of the legislature as evidenced by legislative history, context, and purpose. We don't have to say it twice, do we? No, sorry. So we're just gonna take the recommended amendment from judiciary. It's already got the word in there that it was material to its interpretation. Basically that it's substantive. So my recommendation is that we take the judiciary's recommended amendment along with defecting the effective date and making technical amendments. Questions or concerns, members?
Chair.
Yes.
Attorney General's comments not considered at this time.
I am choosing to take the judiciary's amendment, not the Attorney General's amendment.
All right.
They're very different,
Got it.
and I'm choosing the
I'm
judiciary's.
supportive. Okay.
Okay. Other questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2433 with amendments, Representatives Belatti and Kahaloa are excused. Are there any voting no? Any reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next measure, House Bill 1982. I'd like to recommend we move this forward with amendments. I'm very sensitive to the concerns of beneficiaries who feel that they haven't been consulted. I am very aware of concerns about environmental impact of geothermal development. I am also aware that geothermal development is a culturally sensitive issue, and if anyone can do it properly, I think it would be one of the Hawaiian agencies that we have, Department of Hawaiian Homelands in this case. They're willing to take on this challenge, which I think is a good one. And how can we develop geothermal resources in a way that is culturally appropriate and environmentally sensitive? So my recommendation is to move this forward with a House Draft 2. I would like to include in the standing committee report the request from Department of Hawaiian Homelands for $5 million. I would like, it already has a blank appropriation amount and a defective effective date, so we'll keep those in there. But I would like to include in the bill itself something that the Department of Hawaiian Homeland says they will do, but I just want to make it clear to the constituents of to the beneficiaries of Hawaiian Homelands and to all of our constituents that I want to put in the bill that Department of Hawaiian Homelands shall engage in beneficiary consultation on regarding this measure, and that they shall also comply with Chapter 343. And Department has already said they would do that. I just want it clear in the statute that that would be a requirement. Those are my recommendations. Questions or concerns, members?
Chair, I was a strong no, but after your explanation and your thought process, I'm gonna move to a reservation.
Thank you.
Chair.
Rep. Cochran?
Yeah, I'm not in support actually.
Okay.
You know, the 42 in opposition, I stand by their voice and their representation.
Yep. I understand.
in a nutshell. Thanks.
I understand, oh, that makes sense, and this is controversial, I'm just trying to put guardrails on it,
Yep, thank
so
you.
it's responsible.
Sure.
Any other comments, questions? If not, Vice Chair for the vote?
Voting on House Bill 1982 HD1 with amendments. Representatives Bellotti, Kahaloa are excused with a no vote from Representative Cochran. Are there any additional no votes? Vice Chair votes no. Are there any voting with reservations?
Vice Chair?
Yes.
I'm gonna cast a no vote.
Okay. No for Representative Garcia. Reservations for Representative Shimizu. Any additional reservations? Okay, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. Next, House Bill 2223 relating to historic preservation reviews. This is a work in progress. I understand, and I really want both the Department of Hawaiian Homelands and the Historic Preservation Division to continue their work on the memorandum of agreement. But I would like to move this discussion forward. It currently has the bill, I would recommend we move it forward with House Draft 2. It already has a defective date. I would like to recommend that on page 3, line 8, the reference to Hawaiian Homelands Preservation Officers should be Hawaiian Homelands Historic Preservation Specialists. And I would also like to include the consultant here too. So it would be Hawaiian Homelands Historic Preservation Specialists or consultants. I would encourage, this won't be in, I'm just saying it's now, I would just encourage the Department of Hawaiian Homelands and State Historic Preservation Division to work with each other to see if you can address some of the concerns in this bill, if it does move forward, so that in future committees, we can try to meet the concerns that are valid concerns of the State Historic Preservation Division. And I know Department of Hawaiian Homelands really wants to move on this, but it's not a finished product in this particular bill. So it's a defective effective date. We're making a few changes, but more will need to be done. So I ask the indulgence of the committee to move this forward with those amendments. Questions or concerns, members?
Sure.
Yes.
So
Rep. Cochran.
thank you. So you have not incorporated anything of Ms. Puff's comments
No,
in her
I
from her
want the
testimony?
Department of Hawaiian Homelands to work with Dr. Puff and the State Historic Preservation Division, and the two of them come back with something they can agree to. And it may very well be something similar to what's negotiated in their memorandum of agreement. I just don't want to dictate that. Many of these issues are really within the purview of the Water and Land Committee. I would like the opportunity for the Water and Land Committee Chair to weigh in on this. So I don't want to go back and change things that are really within his kuleana. I appreciate that he's here on the committee, but changes that were requested by State Historic Preservation Division would require prior concurrence, and I don't have prior concurrence at this time. So if you want to vote no, but that's
Yes.
how I'm approaching it.
Yeah, it's probably a no for me at this time.
Sure,
Thank you.
understood. Other comments or concerns?
I'm a no, but
Okay.
with you saying that you're gonna ask DHHL to work with SHPD and the opportunity for that to move forward, which I would like to see, I'm gonna go with a reservation.
Thank you. Other comments? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2223 HD1 with amendments, Representative Cochran, I'm not Cochran, Bellotti, and
HD2.
HD2.
So we're making amendments to the HD1, so it will become an HD2. But yeah, so we're voting on HD1 with amendments.
Yeah, okay, sorry, my bad.
That's okay, I made a mistake. Okay, Representatives Bellotti and Kahaloa are excused.
Kahaloa just arrived.
Sorry about that, I'm here.
Okay.
Just arrived.
Representative Bellotti is excused. Representative Kahaloa is present. I have a no vote for Representative Cochran. Are there any additional no votes? Okay, any additional reservations with Representative Shimizu's reservations? Okay, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2308 relating to the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. I recommend we move this forward with amendments, so it'll be a House Draft 1. Defect the effective date to July 1, 3000. Make technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. And I would only just give an encouragement to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to have material ready for Finance Committee about how they are justifying to the Department of Interior and providing evidence to the Department of Interior about how this increase in debt ceiling actually benefits the lessees as anticipated. Because the Department of Interior will need that information to approve the changes that we make here. That's my recommendation. Questions or concerns, members?
Sure, I have concerns. I've spoken with department, he tallied 3,000 homes at 350,000 apiece. And that's an astronomical amount when I do know there's technology out there for better ways of building to benefit beneficiaries. So I am not in support.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, comments? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2308 with amendments, Representative Bellotti is excused. Are there any no votes?
No.
No for Representative Cochran. Any with reservations? Okay, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2309 relating to the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. On this measure, I recommend we move it out with amendments, so it will become a House Draft 1. I would like to recommend we defect the effective date to July 1, 3000, make technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. And I would like to change the language in the bill, which are gendered terms of husband, wife, niece, nephew, brother, sister, father, mother, widow, and widower, and replace it with spouse, siblings, child, sibling, parent, and surviving spouse. Just so we're trying to, in Hawaii revised statutes, use gender neutral terms. So I would like to make those changes here. So it's defect the effective date, make technical amendments, and replace the gendered terms with gender neutral terms. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2309 with amendments, Representative Bellotti is excused. Are there any no votes? Any reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2400 relating to economic development. I recommend we move this out with amendments, so it will become a House Draft 1. Defect the effective date to July 1, 3000. Make technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. I would blank out the appropriation, the total appropriation, and put in the standing committee report that the total appropriation, except for the blank amount for the Molokai pipe replacement project, is $111,912,000. And put that in the standing committee report. Hopefully, the amount for the Molokai pipeline project would be able to be determined so that Finance Committee can make their decision about moving this forward. I would like to get that information as well. So my recommendation is to move House Bill 2400 forward with those amendments. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2400 with amendments, Representative Bellotti is excused. Are there any no votes? Any with reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2250, this is this is to make appropriations for claims against the state, its officers, or its employees. I would like to recommend that we move this forward with amendments, defect the effective date to July 1, 3000. I would like to adopt the amendments recommended by the Attorney General. I would urge the Attorney General to get us I'm just gonna say this for the Attorney General, if you can hear me. We need some more information on item number 2 on page 2, line 9 to 13. The United States Environmental Protection Agency, Region 9 versus State of Hawaii, Department of Agriculture. We need a case number for that. I couldn't find it, so if somebody could provide that to Finance Committee, that would be great. So in the meantime, we're just going to adopt the amendments as you presented to us already, defect the effective date, and move it forward. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2250 with amendments, Representative Bellotti is excused. Are there any no votes? Any with reservations?
Reservations.
Reservations for Representative Garcia. Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. On House Bill 2254, I really want to stay consistent with the ruling on State v. Fay. So I would recommend we move this forward, but defect the effective date to July 1, 3000, and I would like to incorporate the judiciary's amendment. I know the Attorney General won't like that, but I would like to adopt the judiciary's amendment, which really takes into account very similar issues that the Office of Public Defender had presented. So I'd like to move it forward with the judiciary's amendment, a defective effective date, and move it on to finance. Questions or concerns, members?
Chair?
Yes.
You said it's similar to Ms. Chang of
Yes.
Public Defender's Office?
Yes. Yes. So the judiciary's amendment is, I think, addresses the same issue that Office of Public Defender had brought up in their testimony.
But there's something different.
I think it addresses it.
Okay,
Yeah, I
and
think
more.
the judiciary's amendment is sufficient to address the concern and the recommendation brought up by the Office of Public Defender.
Okay, alright,
So as I'm just doing judiciaries.
alright, thank you.
Okay, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2254 with amendments, Representative Bellotti is excused. Are there any no votes? Any with reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Okay, we're almost there, members. House Bill 2256 relating to tobacco enforcement. This is an important bill to move forward. I would just like to defect the effective date to July 1, 3000 and move it forward to finance. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2256 with amendments, Representative Bellotti is excused. Are there any no votes? Any with reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2289 relating to the expenditure ceiling on the Automated Victim Information and Notification System Special Fund. It's a good bill. I want to move it forward with a defective effective date, July 1, 3000, and move it to finance. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2289 with amendments, Representative Bellotti is excused. Are there any no votes? Any with reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Thank you, members, for your patience today. I know it's a heavy agenda. There being no further business before us today, we are adjourned.